The casket gleamed under the funeral home's muted lighting, its mahogany surface reflecting the faces of mourners like a dark mirror. I stood beside it, accepting condolences with mechanical nods, my hand clasped by strangers and distant relatives who murmured the same meaningless phrases. "He's in a better place, he lived a good life, time heals all wounds." But the only wound that mattered in that moment wasn't my father's death. It was the empty space beside me where my husband should have been standing. "Emergency at work," I'd told people who asked, the lie bitter on my tongue. "Critical client situation. He tried everything to get out of it." The truth was so much worse. My father, Robert Chen, had died 3 days earlier after a brief but brutal fight with pancreatic cancer. 72 years old, a man who had immigrated to this country with nothing but an engineering degree and $50 in his pocket, who had built a consulting firm from scratch, who had walked me down the aisle 5 years ago with tears streaming down his weathered face. And my husband, Marcus Webb, had chosen today, the day we laid my father to rest, to be somewhere else entirely. "Your father was an extraordinary man," Mrs. Kowalski said, gripping my hands with surprising strength for someone in her 80s. She'd been my father's secretary for 30 years. When my husband died, Robert gave me 6 months paid leave. Not many bosses would do that. "No," I agreed, my voice hollow. "Not many would." She squeezed my hands once more and moved on, and I was left staring at the framed photograph atop the closed casket. Dad at 50, standing in front of his newly purchased office building, his smile proud and slightly disbelieving, as if he couldn't quite believe his own success. My phone buzzed in my pocket. I ignored it. It had been buzzing intermittently all morning. Marcus, no doubt, with more elaborate excuses. I'd stopped reading his messages after the third one. The service passed in a fog. My mother, diminished and gray with grief, held my arm throughout. My younger brother, Jason, flew in from Seattle, his face drawn and angry when he realized Marcus wasn't there. I shook my head slightly when he started to ask, and he pressed his lips together in a thin line, saving his questions for later. Father Murphy spoke about eternal rest and God's mercy. Colleagues shared stories of my father's integrity and generosity. I gave a brief eulogy, though I couldn't remember afterward what I'd said. The words had come from somewhere deep and automatic, while my conscious mind circled the same question over and over. Where is he? Who is she? Because I knew, on some level, I'd known for months. The late nights that became more frequent, the new cologne, the way he'd started angling his phone away from me when he texted, the business trips that seemed to multiply, though his company's financials suggested they were actually scaling back on travel. I'd been willfully blind, telling myself I was paranoid, that marriage required trust, that I shouldn't become one of those suspicious wives who snooped through their husbands' things. But you can only ignore so many signs before the truth becomes unavoidable. It had been the photo that finally confirmed it. 2 weeks earlier, I'd borrowed Marcus's laptop when mine was updating. His Photos app had been open, synced to his phone, and there, among the mundane screenshots and work documents, I'd found a folder labeled Chicago Conference March. There had been no conference in Chicago in March. Marcus had told me he was going to Austin for a training seminar. The photos showed a different story. Marcus and a woman with auburn hair and a brilliant smile sitting at an outdoor cafe. Marcus and the same woman at the bean, their reflections distorted in the sculpture's chrome surface. Marcus and the woman entering what was clearly a hotel room, her hand on his chest, his arm around her waist. I'd stared at those images for a long time, my heart a stone in my chest. Then I'd closed the laptop without saving anything, without confronting him, without doing anything at all. What was I waiting for? I didn't know. Maybe I'd thought he would confess. Maybe I'd thought the affair would end on its own. Maybe I was just a coward. But today had forced my hand. This morning, as I'd been getting ready for my father's funeral, Marcus had been in the shower. His phone had lit up on the nightstand with a text message. "Can't wait to see you today. I've missed you so much. I know this is hard for you, but I'm so glad you chose me." Chose her. On the day of my father's funeral, he had chosen her. I'd stood there in my black dress, my makeup only half done, staring at that message. Then I'd walked to the bathroom and knocked on the door. "Marcus, we need to leave in 20 minutes. "Actually, babe," his voice had been tight, nervous. "Something's come up at work. The Henderson account, there's a crisis. I have to go into the office." The Henderson account had been successfully closed 2 months ago. "You're not coming to my father's funeral." A pause, water running. Then, "I'm so sorry, Claire. I tried everything to get out of this, but..." "Don't," I'd said quietly. "Just don't." Another pause. "I'll make it to the reception, I promise. Just give me a few hours." He hadn't made it to the reception. Now, as the last guests trickled out of the funeral home and the staff began diplomatically suggesting we should wrap up, I checked my phone. 7 missed calls from Marcus, 12 text messages. I deleted them all without reading. "Claire," Jason touched my elbow, "you okay?" "Fine." "You're not fine. Where the hell is Marcus?" "Doesn't matter." "It matters," my brother said fiercely. "Today of all days." "Jason." I turned to face him, and whatever he saw in my eyes made him stop. "Please, not now." He studied me for a moment, then nodded slowly. "Okay, but later we're talking about this." "Later," I agreed. My mother was sitting in the front row, staring at the casket. I went to her, knelt beside her chair. "Mom, it's time to go." She looked at me with eyes that seemed to have aged a decade in 3 days. "I don't know how to do this without him." "I know. 51 years, she whispered. "We were married 51 years. How do I go home to an empty house?" "You don't," I said firmly. "You're coming home with me." "But Marcus won't be there," I said. "It'll just be us." Something in my tone made her focus on me more sharply. "Claire, what's happened?" "Nothing that can't wait." I helped her to her feet. "Come on, let's get you home." The house was dark when we arrived. I'd left lights on this morning, but they were all off now. Marcus must have come home and left again. I settled my mother in the guest room, brought her tea she wouldn't drink, and sat with her until she finally dozed off, exhausted by grief. Then I went downstairs to the empty living room and sat in the dark, still in my funeral dress, and waited. He came home at 11. I heard his key in the lock, his footsteps in the hallway. He stopped when he saw me sitting there in the darkness. "Claire, why are you sitting in the dark?" I didn't turn on the lamp. "Where were you?" "I told you, work emergency. The Henderson account." "The Henderson account closed 2 months ago." Silence. Then he moved into the room and I could see his silhouette against the window. "Right, I meant the Bradford account. Sorry, I'm just exhausted. It's been a hell of a day." "Has it?" "Yeah." He sat down in the chair across from me, and I was glad I couldn't see his face clearly. I didn't want to see him lie. "I am so sorry I missed the funeral, Claire. I know how important." "Who is she?" The silence that followed was so complete, I could hear the clock ticking in the kitchen. "What?" "Who is she, Marcus?" "I don't know what you're talking about." "The woman you were with in Chicago. The woman who texted you this morning about how glad she is that you chose her. Who is she?" I heard him breathe in sharply. "Claire, just tell me her name." Another pause, then in a voice so quiet I almost didn't hear it. "Vanessa." The name hung in the air between us. Vanessa. His affair had a name now. It was real in a way it hadn't been before. "How long?" "Does it matter?" "Yes," I said. "It matters." He was quiet for a long moment, then 8 months. 8 months. Our 5th anniversary had been 9 months ago. We'd gone to the Bahamas, renewed our vows on the beach at sunset, made love under the stars. 2 weeks later, he'd started sleeping with someone else. Where did you meet her? Claire, I don't think... Tell me. At a conference, a real one, in Denver. She works in marketing for a competitor company. And today, my father's funeral, you spent it with her? She's going through a hard time, he said, and I couldn't believe the defensive note in his voice. Her divorce just finalized. She needed support. I stood up so fast the chair rocked behind me. She needed support? She needed support, so you abandoned me at my father's funeral? That's not fair. My father is dead. The words ripped out of me, loud and jagged in the quiet house. My father is dead and you were with your mistress because her divorce finalized. How am I supposed to find that anything other than monstrous? Keep your voice down. Your mother is upstairs grieving her husband of 51 years, alone, because her son-in-law couldn't be bothered to show up. Marcus stood too, and now I could see his face in the dim light from the street lamp outside. He looked tired and defensive, and nothing like the man I'd married. I'm sorry, I know the timing was terrible, but Claire, we need to talk about us, about our marriage. I don't think... Get out. What? Get out of this house. Now. Pack a bag and get out. Claire, let's be reasonable.
Reasonable? I laughed, and it sounded unhinged even to my own ears. You want reasonable? Here's reasonable. You chose to cheat on me. You chose to continue cheating on me for 8 months, and you chose to spend today with her instead of supporting me through the worst day of my life. Those were your choices. Now I'm making mine. Get out. It's my house too. Then I'll leave. I was already moving toward the stairs. I'll take my mother and we'll go to a hotel, but I'm not spending another night under the same roof as you. Wait, he caught my arm. Wait, I'll go. Just let's talk about this tomorrow when we're both calmer. I looked down at his hand on my arm, then up at his face. There's nothing to talk about, Marcus. We're done. You don't mean that. I've never meant anything more in my life. He held my gaze for a moment longer, then released my arm and headed upstairs. I heard him moving around in our bedroom, opening drawers and closets. 15 minutes later, he came back down with a duffel bag. I'm staying at the Marriott downtown, he said. Call me when you're ready to discuss this like adults. I didn't respond. He hesitated at the door as if waiting for me to say something, to call him back, to forgive him. Then he left. I stood in the hallway until I heard his car start and pull away. Then I went upstairs and checked on my mother, still sleeping, before returning to my own bedroom. It looked the same as it always had, our wedding photo on the dresser, his watch on the nightstand, the book he'd been reading on his pillow. A whole life we'd built together, and he'd dismantled it for someone named Vanessa, whose divorce had just finalized. I sat on the edge of the bed and waited to cry, but the tears didn't come. I just felt hollow and exhausted and strangely relieved that the pretending was over. My phone buzzed. I almost ignored it, assuming it was Marcus, but the caller ID showed an unfamiliar number with a 415 area code, San Francisco. I answered. Hello? Is this Claire Webb? A woman's voice, professional but tentative. Yes? Mrs. Webb, my name is Jennifer Hartley, and I'm an attorney with Hartley & Associates in San Francisco. I'm calling regarding your father, Robert Chen. My chest tightened. Okay. I'm very sorry for your loss. Your father was a client of mine for many years. I'm calling because there are some matters regarding his estate that need to be discussed as soon as possible. Can't this wait? The funeral was today. I'm not really in a state to... I understand, and I wouldn't call if it wasn't urgent. Mrs. Webb, your father left some rather specific instructions regarding his will, and there are time-sensitive elements that require immediate attention. I closed my eyes. Of course there were complications. Why would anything be simple? What kind of time-sensitive elements? I'd rather discuss this in person. Would you be able to come to my office tomorrow? I know it's short notice, but this really can't wait. I'm in Seattle. Your office is in San Francisco.
I'm aware. Your father made provisions for travel expenses. I can have a plane ticket arranged for you by morning. I almost laughed. Even dead, my father was still taking care of logistics. All right, I said, too tired to argue. Tomorrow. Thank you. I'll email you the details within the hour. And Mrs. Webb, I think you'll find this meeting worthwhile. She hung up before I could ask what that meant. I sat there staring at my phone, trying to make sense of the day. My father's funeral, my husband's affair finally exposed, and now a mysterious summons from San Francisco from an attorney who said my father had left time-sensitive instructions. What else could possibly happen? My phone buzzed with an email. The flight details Jennifer Hartley had promised, a first-class ticket on a 9 a.m. flight to San Francisco, with a car service arranged on both ends. I should have been surprised at the extravagance, but I wasn't. That was my father, always planning ahead, always making sure things were taken care of. Even from beyond the grave, he was looking out for me. I checked on my mother one more time, still sleeping, finally at peace, then lay down on top of the covers, still in my funeral dress, and stared at the ceiling until morning came. The law office of Hartley and Associates occupied the 23rd floor of a gleaming high-rise in the financial district. Jennifer Hartley herself was a woman in her late 50s with silver hair and sharp, intelligent eyes that took my measure in a single glance. Mrs. Webb, thank you for coming on such short notice. She shook my hand firmly. Please, sit. Her office had a view of the bay that would have been breathtaking if I'd been in any state to appreciate it. Instead, I sank into the leather chair across from her desk and waited. I'll get straight to the point, Jennifer said, settling into her own chair. Your father came to see me 6 months ago to update his will. At that time, he made some very specific arrangements regarding you. Regarding me? Yes, he set up a trust in your name separate from the rest of his estate. This trust contains substantial assets, approximately $2.3 million in liquid assets, plus the deed to a property in Santa Barbara and controlling shares in 3 investment portfolios. I stared at her. $2.3 million? Yes. However, the trust comes with conditions. Of course it did. My father had never done anything without conditions. What kind of conditions? Jennifer opened a folder on her desk and pulled out a sealed envelope. Your father left this letter for you. He instructed me to give it to you before explaining the terms of the trust. He said... She paused, her expression softening. He said you would need to read his words before you could understand what he was trying to do. I took the envelope with shaking hands. My name was written on the front in my father's distinctive handwriting, precise and slightly slanted, the C and W capitalized in his old-fashioned style. Would you like privacy? Jennifer asked. I nodded, unable to speak. She stowed and moved toward the door. Take all the time you need. I'll be right outside. When she was gone, I sat alone in that office high above San Francisco and opened my father's last letter to me. My dearest Claire, if you're reading this, then I'm gone, and I'm sorry I couldn't stay longer. There was so much more I wanted to say, so many more years I wanted to spend watching you build your life. But life doesn't always give us the time we think we deserve. I need to tell you something I should have told you while I was alive. I knew about Marcus. My breath caught. I knew about the affair. I've known for months. I hired a private investigator 3 months ago when you came to dinner, and I saw something in your eyes, a sadness you were trying to hide. You've always been strong, Claire, maybe too strong for your own good. You don't like to admit when you're hurting. The investigator confirmed what I suspected. Marcus has been seeing a woman named Vanessa Caldwell for the better part of a year. They meet regularly when he travels for work. He's been diverting funds from your joint accounts to pay for hotels and gifts. I wanted to tell you, God, how I wanted to tell you. Your mother said I should stay out of it, that it was your marriage and your decision. But I'm your father. Protecting you is what I do. It's what I'll always do, even now. So instead of telling you, I made a plan. The trust I've set up for you is designed to give you freedom. Freedom to leave Marcus without worrying about money. Freedom to start over if you choose. Freedom to be angry at him, at me, at the whole damn world if you need to. But the trust comes with one condition. You cannot access the funds until you've been legally separated from Marcus for at least 6 months. This is intentional. I don't want you to make a rash decision, either to stay or to leave. I want you to take time to figure out what you truly want. I know you, Claire. I know you're reading this and already planning to refuse the money on principle. Don't. This isn't charity. This is your inheritance, set aside specifically for you. You've earned it by being my daughter, by being the person you are. Let me take care of you one last time.
There's something else. In the Santa Barbara property, the house on Oleander Drive, you'll find boxes in the attic. Inside those boxes are more letters. Letters I wrote to you over the years but never sent. Letters about my own mistakes in love, about the year your mother and I almost divorced, about what I learned about forgiveness and pride and knowing when to hold on and when to let go. Read them. Don't read them. The choice is yours. But know that whatever you decide about Marcus, I'm proud of you. I've always been proud of you. Be strong, my girl, but not so strong that you forget to be happy. All my love, Dad. The tears came then, finally. I sat in Jennifer Hartley's office and cried for my father, for my marriage, for the woman I'd been and the woman I was becoming. I cried until there was nothing left. When Jennifer returned, she found me staring out at the bay with dry eyes and a strange calm settling over me. "Are you all right?" she asked gently. "He knew," I said. "My father knew about the affair." "Yes, he told me when he set up the trust. He wanted to protect you." "He always did." I turned to face her. "Tell me about the conditions." She walked me through the details, the 6-month separation requirement, the investment portfolios that would provide income even after the initial funds were depleted, the Santa Barbara house, which my father had bought decades ago and kept as a rental property, now mine outright. What if I don't separate from Marcus? What happens to the money? It remains in trust for you. You can't access it, but it doesn't go away. Your father believed, Jennifer paused, choosing her words carefully. He believed you would make the right choice for yourself in your own time. I thought about that. My father, even knowing what Marcus had done, hadn't tried to force my hand. He'd just given me options, given me freedom. "There's one more thing," Jennifer said. She handed me a key, the key to the Santa Barbara house. Your father wanted you to go there. He said you would understand when you saw it. I took the key. It was old-fashioned, brass, heavier than modern keys. It felt substantial in my palm. "Thank you," I said, "for everything. It was my privilege to help your father. He was a good man." He really was. I left the office and walked through downtown San Francisco in a daze. My phone had been buzzing all morning, Marcus, Jason, my mother, but I ignored it all. Instead, I found myself heading toward the waterfront, letting the crowds and the salt air clear my head. My father had known, had watched me pretending everything was fine, had seen through my careful mask, and had quietly set about protecting me in the only way he knew how, not by confronting Marcus, not by telling me what to do, but by giving me the means to save myself. It was the most profound act of love I could imagine. I found a bench overlooking the bay and sat down. The water was gray-blue and choppy, sailboats cutting white paths through the waves. People jogged past, tourists took photos. The city hummed with life. The world kept turning, even when your world fell apart. My phone buzzed again. This time I looked. A text from Marcus. "We need to talk. I'm willing to end things with Vanessa. We can work this out. Please come home." I read it twice, waiting to feel something. Anger, hope, grief. But there was only that same hollow calm. He was willing to end things with Vanessa, as if that was all it would take, as if the 8 months of lies could be erased with a simple promise, as if missing my father's funeral could be forgiven because he was willing to give up the woman he'd chosen over me. I thought about my father's letter. Be strong, but not so strong that you forget to be happy. Was I happy with Marcus? Had I been before the affair? Or had I just been comfortable, settled, too afraid of change to admit I'd stopped being happy years ago? I didn't have an answer, but I knew I wouldn't find it by going back to Seattle and pretending this hadn't happened. I called Jason. "Claire, finally, I've been trying to reach you all morning. Where are you?" "San Francisco. Dad's lawyer needed to see me." "Is everything okay?" "I'm not sure, but Jason, I need you to do something for me." "Anything?" "I need you to go to the house and pack some bags for me and Mom. Clothes, toiletries, anything we might need for a few weeks. Then I need you to drive Mom down to Santa Barbara." "Santa Barbara? Why?" "Dad left me a house there. I'm going to stay for a while. I need some time away." A pause. Then, carefully, "Does this have to do with Marcus?" "Among other things." "Claire." Jason's voice was gentle. "You don't have to tell me anything you don't want to, but I'm here, whatever you need." "I know. Thank you. I'll pack up Mom and meet you in Santa Barbara. Text me the address." "Jason?" "Yeah?" "Don't tell Marcus where we're going." Another pause, longer this time. "Okay, I won't." I hung up and booked a rental car, then texted Jennifer Hartley for the Santa Barbara address. Within an hour, I was driving south on Highway 101, leaving San Francisco and Marcus and my old life behind. The Santa Barbara house was a modest craftsman bungalow 3 blocks from the beach, painted pale yellow with white trim. It had a small front garden overgrown with lavender and roses, and a wooden porch swing that creaked gently in the coastal breeze. I stood on the sidewalk for a long moment, key in hand, trying to remember if my father had ever mentioned this place, but my memories came up blank. This had been his secret, kept separate from the rest of his life. Inside, the house was clean, but clearly hadn't been lived in for a while. The furniture was covered with dust sheets. The air smelled faintly of lemon and salt. I walked through rooms filled with afternoon light, trailing my fingers along walls and door frames, feeling for some connection to my father. The attic stairs were in the hall closet, pull down and wooden. I climbed carefully, sneezing at the dust, and found myself in a small space under the eaves. And there, just as my father had said, were boxes, dozens of them, neatly labeled with dates. I pulled down the one labeled 1995, Claire's wedding year, and carried it downstairs. In the living room, with dust motes swirling in the sunlight, I opened it and found letters, dozens of them, all addressed to me in my father's handwriting, all unopened. I picked one at random and began to read. "Dear Claire, you're engaged. Marcus proposed last night and you called us. So happy I could hear your smile through the phone. Your mother cried. I did too, though I'd never admit it to your face. But I'm worried. Not because I don't like Marcus, I do. He's smart and successful and he makes you laugh. But I'm worried because I see the way you change yourself around him. Small things. You laugh less loudly. You don't argue as much. You smooth down your edges to fit his expectations. I did the same thing when I was young. When I first met my mother, I tried to be who I thought she wanted. Quieter, more conservative, less ambitious. It nearly destroyed us. It took a near divorce and 6 months of marriage counseling for me to understand that love isn't about making yourself smaller. It's about finding someone who celebrates your bigness, who wants you to be more of who you are, not less. I don't know if Marcus is that person for you. I hope he is,
But Claire, promise me something. Don't lose yourself in this marriage. Don't wake up 20 years from now and realize you've been playing a role instead of living your life. I won't send this letter. You're happy, and I won't spoil it with an old man's worries. But I needed to write it, needed to say what I was thinking, even if only to myself. Love, Dad. I sat back, the letter trembling in my hands. He'd seen it. Even then, before the wedding, he'd seen the truth I'd refused to acknowledge, that I'd been editing myself, performing a version of Claire that would fit seamlessly into Marcus's life. I reached for another letter, and another. As the afternoon faded into evening, I read my father's unsent thoughts, his observations, his worries and hopes and fears. I read about the year he and my mother had separated, how close they'd come to divorce before finding their way back to each other. I read about his regrets, the times he'd chosen work over family, the moments he wished he could do over.
And in every letter, the same message. Be yourself. Don't settle. Life is too short to be anything less than completely, messily, gloriously you. By the time Jason arrived with my mother, I'd read through 3 boxes and had tears streaming down my face. Claire? My mother's voice was tentative from the doorway. Sweetheart, what's all this? I looked up at her standing there, confused and worried, and then at Jason behind her with our suitcases, and I started to laugh. Letters, I said. Dad left me letters about life and love and all the things he wanted to tell me but never did. My mother came into the room and picked up one of the letters, read it silently. When she finished, she was crying too. He wrote to you for years, she said wonderingly. All these years he was writing to you. He was protecting me, I said, even when I didn't know I needed protecting. Jason set down the suitcases and looked around at the boxes. What are you going to do? I thought about Marcus back in Seattle, texting me promises. I thought about the trust fund I couldn't access for 6 months. I thought about my father's words. Don't wake up 20 years from now and realize you've been playing a role instead of living your life. I'm going to stay here, I said, for a while at least. I'm going to read Dad's letters. I'm going to figure out who I am when I'm not trying to be someone's idea of the perfect wife. And then, I smiled, and it felt strange on my face, like muscles I'd forgotten how to use. Then I'm going to decide what comes next. My mother sat beside me and took my hand. I think that's exactly what he would have wanted. That night, after Jason left and my mother went to bed, I sat on the porch swing and called Marcus. He answered on the first ring. Claire, thank God. Where are you? I've been worried sick. I'm in California. California? Why? When are you coming home? I don't know if I am. Silence. Then, what do you mean? I mean, I need time, Marcus. Time to think. Time to figure out what I want. What you want? Claire, I already said I'd end things with Vanessa. What more do you want from me? And there it was, that defensive note again, that suggestion that I was being unreasonable, that I should be grateful he was willing to give up his mistress and come back to me. I want you to understand what you did, I said quietly, not just the affair, but missing my father's funeral, lying to me for months, choosing her over me again and again for 8 months. I want you to understand that those aren't things you can fix with an apology. So what, we're just done? 5 years of marriage and you're throwing it away? I'm not throwing anything away. I'm trying to figure out if there's anything left to save. That sounds like something a therapist told you to say. I almost laughed. It's something my father would have said, if he'd lived long enough to tell me what he thought about you. Another silence. What's that supposed to mean? It means he knew, Marcus, about the affair. He knew months ago. That's impossible. How could he? He hired a private investigator. He knew about Vanessa, about the hotels, about the money you've been spending on her, and he set up a trust fund for me so I wouldn't have to worry about finances if I chose to leave you. I could hear Marcus breathing on the other end of the line. So this is about money? Your father bought you a divorce? No, he gave me options. There's a difference. I can't believe this. Your father's been dead less than a week, and you're already letting him control your life from beyond the grave? He's not controlling me, he's setting me free. Free? To what? Throw away our marriage? To abandon everything we built together? We didn't build anything together, I said, and the truth of it settled over me like a calm sea. I built around you. I made myself smaller to fit into your life, and somewhere along the way, I forgot what it felt like to be myself. That's not fair. Maybe not, but it's true. Marcus was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke again, his voice was different, not defensive, but defeated. So what now? You're just going to stay in California and leave me here? For now, yes. I'm going to stay here and read my father's letters and figure out who I am. And you're going to stay there and figure out what you really want. Maybe it's me, maybe it's Vanessa, maybe it's neither of us, but we can't figure that out while we're still pretending everything's fine. I don't want Vanessa, I want you. You wanted her enough to miss my father's funeral. He had no answer to that. I need 6 months, I said. My father's trust requires a 6-month legal separation before I can access the funds. So that's what we're doing, 6 months apart. And at the end of it, we'll see where we stand. A legal separation? Claire, that's what's happening. I'll have my lawyer draw up the papers. What am I supposed to tell people? Tell them the truth. Tell them whatever you want. I don't really care anymore, Marcus. And the strange thing was, I didn't. The anxiety I'd carried for months about what people would think, about how a divorce would look, about preserving the appearance of a happy marriage, it was gone. All that was left was a bone-deep exhaustion and a desire to stop pretending. I should go, I said. It's been a long day. Wait, Claire, I'm sorry. I know I hurt you. I know I messed up. But I love you. That has to count for something. I looked out at the dark street, at the palm trees swaying in the night breeze, at the life my father had secretly built for me in this quiet beach town. It does count for something, I said, just not enough. I hung up before he could respond. Inside, I found my mother sitting at the kitchen table with a cup of tea, one of my father's letters open in front of her.